Hi everybody, I'm Roddy Brown with the Flying Pig Pub and Kitchen, and today we have a nice little treat for you. We're going to be doing some of this beautiful Brant Prime Tri-Tip on my Santa Maria grill. Oak is the application for the wood, and we're going to feature a little bit of this. This is our proprietary rub at the Flying Pig, and I think it goes great on everything, but especially this beautiful Tri-Tip. So with that being said, I like to take the Tri-Tip. I like to let it sit out on the counter for about, obviously you can't do this in a commercial application, but at home, let it sit out on the counter until it comes up to about room temperature. And the reason why you do that, it allows the meat to come up to temp for even cooking. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some of this beautiful seasoning, and as you can see, we kind of apply it pretty heavy. And the reason why I like to apply it fresh like this as opposed to let it sit in, like, let's say the refrigerator overnight, is that because there's salt in this, salt tends to have more of a curing application, and that's not what we want. We want that nice beefy flavor. It's just like when you have a burger, you don't want the burger to taste like the mustard and the ketchup. Whenever you're eating beef, especially beef this high quality, you want to make sure that you can enjoy the beef as well, and this is just more of a flavor enhancer. So nice good amount of that, kind of pat that in just a little bit, kind of roll it over a little bit. Coat it on all sides. A little bit more here. Now this one has been peeled. I don't really know that you can get unpeeled if you're not in, let's say, like a restaurant. But if you ever get a chance to have them unpeeled, you have to be very careful with the Santa Maria on the open flame because that fat cap will really cause a lot of flare-ups. So it's always good to have them peeled. So with that little piece right there, give them a little extra with that. So while we're gonna let that sit for just a hot minute, I always like to season my grill, get the grill hot, as you can probably hear it going behind me. And then right now I have a white onion, a little bit of salt, and avocado oil. Now why avocado oil? For one, avocado oil is much better for you than, let's say, like seed oils, but for two, it has a very high temperature tolerance. So this is pretty hot, and so what we want to do is we want to create that nice little seasoned barrier between the heat and, of course, into the meat. So with that being said, let's raise this guy up. And that's the beauty about Santa Maria grills, is that you can adjust it. So like when this one comes up, you'll probably see a little flame on it. So get that nice avocado oil in there, like I said, a little salt. This bad boy is nice and hot. So on the grates, people talk about what kind of metals to use and whatnot. These are stainless steel, which as opposed to regular iron, they just hold up a little better. They don't warp quite as bad either. So we got that going now. So now we'll let that sit for just a hot second. So now, as you can see, the seasoning has really started to kind of adhere to the meat. It's kind of soaking it in. So what we'll do now, we're going to put it on the grill after we've seasoned it. Tongs here, a Tri-Tip here. Kind of put it on a hot spot, and we let the magic of the Santa Maria happen. The advantages of Santa Maria grill is that you're able to adjust them according to what type of char that you want. So this happens to have two grills. So one I've got a little bit lower, so it's on that nice kind of hot spot. The other one, as you can see, is smoking. So what we'll do, once we kind of get the meat where we want it to be temperature-wise, we'll let it rest on top of the smoldering oak, and that just kind of gives it just a kiss of that oak flavor that we like. So let's raise this guy up because it's a little hot. And then we'll check getting a little bit of char. Perfect. Grill's nice and hot. So now we just sit back, drink them if you got them. So one thing that's very important with the Santa Maria grill, especially one we've got that's really screaming hot right now, is that you can't just put it on there, and maybe like your Weber, your charcoal grill. You really got to babysit it. And the reason why I say to babysit it is because that's how you get that nice little bark on the outside of it. It's like you want to touch a char, but obviously you don't want to burn it. And it all depends on what you season it with as well. So things that are very susceptible to burning, things like paprika burns really, really easily. So we kind of back that off just a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're not burning it, but you want that little bit of that bark, a little bit of that char. So I constantly turn mine. especially when it's low like this. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about. See, I'm starting to develop a little bit of that char bark on both sides. So that's about as far as I want to take on this guy. So we're going to start this guy and kind of move him off to a little bit cooler spot. That's what I'm personally looking for. Raise it up just a hair, get it off the flame. Again, just babysit it and wait for the magic. So, wanted to talk about the relationship between this wonderful cut of meat and this grill behind me and that fabulous liquid in that glass. So, Santa Maria Grill, just as it sounds, that's where it's from, Santa Maria. San Luis Obispo, a very, very, very wonderful area for growing wine, obviously in California. So between the three of these things, that's what makes them all so very, very special. This particular wine that we have, this is from Paso Robles, which is fairly close by, but it's not from the Santa Maria area. However, it shows the relationship. California, this is a California type of experience. Santa Maria Grill, we've got this California beef, which is just this wonderful, wonderful beef. Now you notice that the coloring on this right here, we got that nice little bark that I was talking about, which I'll show you when we cut into it, what the purpose of that is. As you could probably see the way that the grain of this meat, the way it starts this way and it kind of gradually works its way this way. The idea to keep this meat nice and tender, even though this is not a tough cut of meat at all, but to get the best out of it, you want to cut against that grain. So as you cut that grain, you have to start to turn your knife and cut against the grain all the way across this piece of meat. So we're going to start with this end here. So if you notice too, like there's a lot of juice kind of coming out of here and it's still kind of smoking a little bit. We should have rested it just a touch longer, but at the same time, it's ready to rock and roll. And see, it starts to get a little more, we start to get into like the medium rare stuff. This is kind of like medium rare plus. And I don't know if you can hear that crunch when I hit the bottom of that tri-tip. That's the bark that I'm talking about. That gives it that nice lovely texture. And if you notice, we're kind of turning the meat as we cut to follow that against that grain pattern. And a sharp knife is crucial. So there you have like that center cut of the tri-tip. Still nice and warm, smells heavenly. And you can see here, what we wanted was about a medium rare. This is about a medium rare plus. Kind of right there towards the center, but absolutely delicious. Now we're gonna plate. So the accoutrement that we decided to use today, my wife makes this wonderful relish, so we call it a California chimichurri. Has all the things you expect in chimichurri, all the herbs and whatnot, but with a little plus. There's some olives, there's some red onion in this, red wine vinegar, some garlic, some bay leaf, and give it a nice little stir. It's got some green onions in it. I love things with like nice little herby pop in them, and this is a perfect example of that. So just a little bit on the plate like so. It's got some jalapeno on it, a little bit of red bell pepper. That's about it. So now we have this beautiful finished product. We've got this beautifully crusted, pig spice crusted Brant Prime Tri-Tip that's been done on the Santa Maria Grill, which we've used oak. We've also finished it with my wife's beautiful, we call it a California chimichurri because it's a little blend of a lot of different things. Olive, spices, jalapenos, there's some cilantro, there's parsley, garlic, a little bit of bay leaf. But there you have it. That's about as good as it gets. Keep it nice and simple. Serve it with a nice, bright, fresh sauce like such. And there you have that Brant Prime Tri-Tip. Ready to go. Enjoy.